Story. Mother notices that her daughter has been emitting a bad smell for days. So she takes her to the doctor and discovers something terrible. Amelia was born into a very humble family. Her father planted corn, and when it was harvest time, her mother would prepare various meals using the golden grain and then go out to sell them at a small stall near the city's best university. Amelia was the only girl, as the other 3 children were boys, so her mother always took her along to sell food. The girl was quite clever and, with a strong voice, would announce each of the products her mother was selling. Ever since the girl learned to read, she began to be interested in the novels published in gossip magazines. The economic conditions of her family didn't allow her to buy this form of entertainment, so her mother would visit a sister who lived in the neighboring city every month to have her deliver the magazines she had already read. Amelia was happy every time she saw her mother arrive with a bag full of the famous magazine and assured herself that one day her name would be printed on those pages. The lady laughed and encouraged her to dream big every time she went to the stall to sell. The girl sighed at the immense university nearby and also said she would study there. Her father often expressed his desire to see her become a successful professional, as men were usually lazy when it came to studying. Their goal was to buy more land to increase the production that their father had achieved over his lifetime. The boys were united and wished to have wives and children who would work on the land. Their father began to save penny by penny with the idea of making his daughter's dream of going to university possible. This was done in secret, but when his wife discovered the hiding place of the money and he told her what the purpose was, she said she would contribute as well. Every day, the lady set aside 10% of the profit from food sales to deposit into the savings box. Amelia was only 9 years old when her parents started saving, and she had no idea of the sacrifice they were making. The girl, on her part, was an excellent student and excelled in literature class. She liked to write stories and always read those magazine romances that might not have been appropriate for her age, but they were the only entertainment she could have. Although they lived on a small farm, it wasn't in the outskirts of the city, so she had a great chance of studying, thanks to her excellent grades. That was even more feasible. She attended high school at a private school, where they even offered her a scholarship to study journalism. The only condition she had to fulfill was to maintain good grades throughout the years. Amelia was happy and studied with greater zeal to achieve her big high school dream. In high school, she was the best student, and that's how she secured her scholarship. On the same day, her parents gave her all the savings they had kept for her, and she cried with happiness. Months later, she entered that enormous university campus full of dreams, and from the first day, she was focused on maintaining her good grades. The young woman began to stand out until she earned a full scholarship, participated in writing contests, and always won. She was also doing an internship at a TV station, where she was doing so well that she was hired for the main news broadcast. She was only in her second year of her career when she got that job that allowed her to buy a used car. At the television channel, she met Raul, a handsome guy who was the sensation of everyone. Although to her, he was just another arrogant guy, the girl didn't pay attention to him. That bothered him to the point that he could say he didn't like how she presented the news, but at the channel, they held her in high regard, and everyone told him he was completely wrong. The girl graduated with honors, and her colleagues threw her a big surprise party. She was happy, unaware that that night would mark her life because Raul took the opportunity to declare his love for her. He assured her that he was madly in love and that they could even get married. At first, Amelia was incredulous, but seeing the man's insistence, she ended up accepting. Her best friend told her she was crazy because that man was not trustworthy, but she didn't understand the reasons at the time. The news of their relationship spread quickly, and everyone found Raul's behavior strange in those days. Amelia's happiness couldn't be greater, as she received a call from the magazine she had been reading since childhood, offering her a much better salary than she already had. Raul tried to clip her wings. He told her that if she left the TV station, their relationship would deteriorate because they wouldn't see each other with the same frequency. But she wasn't willing to give up her dream, so she traveled to sign her contract. Now her job was in another city, so she commuted daily in her modest car. She managed to attract readers very quickly. In this way, months passed, and in reality, her relationship was ending every day. Deep down, it seemed that Raul couldn't bear her success. A year later, when her professional life was at its peak, Amelia found out she was pregnant. When she told Raul, he laughed and said he wouldn't take responsibility for that child, and now she would pay for the disregard she had shown before. Far from crying or feeling sad, Amelia made the decision to move to the city where she worked. She received full support from her bosses and her parents, so she was determined to be happy with her pregnancy, regardless of Raul's abandonment. When her daughter Marissa was born, the young woman knew she had made the best decision. She spent her maternity leave accompanied by her mother, but later the lady had to leave. She hired a nanny, but months later discovered that the lady wasn't feeding the girl, who was just over a year old. At that time, she asked for permission to work from home, and upon explaining what was happening, her bosses, of course, supported her. From that moment on, she devoted herself to taking care of her daughter, but it was difficult to balance work and being an excellent mother. However, in the first few months, she was victorious, but as the girl grew, she became more mischievous and stressed her mother more and more. In her email, the call for a journalism contest arrived, and her colleagues told her that, of course, she had to participate. So, she was focused on producing the pieces that were to be written, and in that rush, she neglected the girl twice. She was very proud and didn't want to ask her mother for help, so she continued with the idea of being a mother and working from home. The stress led to weight loss, but her effort, the truth is, paid off when her work was the winner. This meant much more prestige for the editorial team she was part of. The award they received was significant, so everyone was happy. At that time, Amelia got used to her daughter being in a small playpen to avoid her getting hurt when climbing or descending. One more afternoon, when she approached to caress the little girl, she smelled a bad odor coming from her. It was a terrible smell. She thought the little girl had soiled herself and went to give her a bath. Her diaper was completely clean. So, she perfumed her and changed her clothes, but the bad smell persisted. The woman was really worried, but that day she couldn't take her to the doctor because she had a task to deliver the next day. She also didn't have time, but upon telling her mother, she declared that the girl should be her priority. The woman understood the message and asked for leave from work. When she arrived at the clinic, everyone noticed the bad smell and covered their noses. The illustrious journalist was feeling sorry, and when it was her turn, the doctor was surprised because after checking the girl, he couldn't find an apparent cause. The only thing she had were signs of nasal congestion. The specialist didn't know what to do until he decided to examine the girl's nose, and there he found the unimaginable. The girl had a piece of sponge stuck in her nose from the playpen her mother had put her in. The sponge had rotted, and a few more days, that would have cost the girl's life. The doctor had to call a surgeon, and they had to anesthetize her so they could remove the sponge from the girl's nose. A week later, Marissa was fully recovered, and her mother learned the lesson to be more attentive. From that moment on, despite continuing to work from home, she hired a nanny to exclusively care for the girl. Friends, we've reached the end of this story. Tell me what you thought, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content like this. Until the next video, guys.